So today we're going to talk about these fellas, kegs. Now there's lots of videos out there about how to maintain, clean and sanitise your kegs, but a lot of people out there aren't really sure how to do a full service on a keg. Whether it's a second-hand keg that you've got that's been used for soda syrups, or whether it's a keg that you've had for years and it's just time to renew all of your seals and fittings. We're not looking at how to clean and maintain your kegs. We're just looking at how to service all of the seals and springs, poppets, etc. in your keg. So you'd be familiar with the good old-fashioned Corny Keg. We've got a gas in, a liquid out, we've got our lid, the lever on it, we've got a pressure relief valve here. Here's the things we're going to need in order to do a full service on our Corny Keg. We're going to need a seal kit, and there's a few different types of seals in there. There's one for the lid, there's the ones for the outside of the post, and the ones that go between the post and the stem. Now, depending on the kind of kit you buy, it may or may not come with poppets and pressure relief valves. We're also going to need 2 poppets. That's these little guys that seal the top of your keg posts, and 2 new springs. Over time, these springs wear out and don't work as well. So today I'm actually not going to change the pressure relief valve, but I will show you how to do it. Also, I highly recommend that you have some food grade grease. And while I disassemble everything, I'm going to give it a clean. So if you've got a little line cleaning brush and a little bit of Kegging line cleaner in a bowl. Also, in order to get your keg posts off, you're going to need a 22mm spanner. 7/8 spanner usually works as well, because a lot of the kegs are American made, and so it's actually 7/8 of an inch, but 7/8 and 22mm are so close to the same that they're essentially interchangeable. We're going to start by removing our keg posts, our in and our out. Now, they come in different types depending on the brand of keg you've got. Some of them have this bi-hex star-like shaped head on them. Now, those, you'll see a normal ring spanner will work on those. Don't ever try to use a shifter or anything like that on here. So we can just slot our ring spanner over there, and just the same direction as a normal nut. It shouldn't take a lot of force to crack it, but once you've got that cracked, we can just unscrew that. Now let's take our lid off. And if we reach inside the keg, we can place our fingers under here and pop the stem out of the inlet. Now that's only a little short stem from the inlet, and we can remove this seal from the top of that stem. I'll put those aside for a moment. Now we'll turn our keg around. Our outlet, which is a single hex, still takes the same spanner though. Undo that the same way as a normal nut. Take our post, put that aside, and again we can reach inside the keg, and this time obviously we've got our long spear. We slide that up from the inside and then ever so gently lift it out, remembering there's going to be a bend in it, and pull it right out. Here's the pieces we've removed. We've got our gas post and the old poppet from in there, our liquid post, and again the old poppet. You might notice these are a little bit different to the new ones we've got. that doesn't really matter. We're going to take those, we're just going to chuck them over there. The seal from our gas inlet, we're going to throw that over there, and then the spear from our liquid outlet, we're just going to remove that seal from on there, pull it all the way off, throw that over there in that pile, and there we go. Now on our posts, we're also just going to take, you can use a fine bit of wire, if you've got a pick set that's ideal, or even a knife. We're just going to get under the O-rings here that seal to our disconnects, and if I can get under there properly, we're just going to hook it up and over the edge so that we can flick that off. Now I'll do the other one. Throw that to the side. Now, this is an opportunity that you don't have very often. We've got all of our seals and everything removed from our keg posts, so we're going to take those, and I'll take the little gas line as well, and we're going to throw those in some cleaner that I've got sitting there. We'll let those sit for a few minutes, and then we'll walk you through the reassembly. While your keg posts are soaking, this is one of your few opportunities to get a good clean on the inside of here. Now, if you've got one of these CUB cleaning brushes, that's great. Otherwise, any little bottle brush that you can get your hands on, you can use that to just give it a good scrub on the inside there, and then stick it back into soak for a few more minutes. We'll do the other one as well. Like I say, even if it looks clean, do it now, because once you put your keg back together, you're probably not going to clean this again until you're due to change all your seals and poppets again. So now we're going to take these out of our cleaning solution. We can either dry them off or just let them drip dry. We've got those there. We're going to take our seals out of our seal kit. And we want to make sure that we get the right seals in the right places. So you can see how two of these seals are sort of square and taller, and two of them are just like sort of O-rings. The O-ring type ones go around the outside of the keg posts, and these other ones go on top of our stems. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our food grade grease, which this stuff's pretty cheap, you can get it from your local homebrew store. You're just going to take a tiny little smear, and we're going to rub it around all the way around the surface of our O-rings and seals. It really doesn't take much of this stuff. One of these tubes will last you years. Again, put it on those seals. While we're going, I'm just going to put a tiny smear around each of the poppets. Just rub it in there real good. Really doesn't need much. And then I've got a little bit left over here, so I'm just going to run that around our new lid seal. The lid seal doesn't really need it, but it does just help it to seal better from the get-go. because that'll soak in and it'll help make sure that that O-ring stays in good condition. So now we're going to take these seals for the stems and we're just going to slide them over the stems. So that's one for the inlet, and then we just do the same thing for the outlet. Just slide it all the way up until you reach the top. We're going to take these O-rings and we're going to place these back where we took the other ones from, on the top of the keg posts, and just run your fingers around the outside in order to stretch it on. They're actually a lot easier to put on than they are to take off. So that's our seals done. Now we're going to take our poppets and just sit them on top of our new springs. So now we need to put our stems back in. So first we'll just pop our gas in stem in like that, and then with the liquid out stem, I'm not sure how well you can see that on camera, but there's these little ridges on the tube, and what that's about is it's so that the tube is located with the bend facing towards the center of the keg. You need to get those located correctly, otherwise you'll damage the stem. So drop those in, and there will be two little corresponding divots in here. If you're really gentle with it, it should just fall directly into its position, and when you look in the top of the keg, you'll see that the stem is in the usual space in the center of the keg. Now we can take one of our poppet assemblies, and we can also take our, this one's our liquid post, and so we can just push the poppet assembly in there, so you can see the poppet in the top, and we'll just place that over our liquid outpost. With the new springs, you might just need to push down a little bit in order to have enough pressure to start the thread. We can do the same thing with our other post. We just place the poppet and spring into the top, make sure it's seated nicely, put it on there, a little bit of downward pressure to overcome the spring force, and then screw that on hand tight. Now sometimes the new poppets won't look like they're perfectly concentric or sitting level, but that's okay because the seals can still work. We're actually going to test this before we put this keg back into use. Now we're simply going to change the O-ring on the keg. So take that one off the keg lid, pop this one on. Often when they're new, they're a bit more round than the keg lid. It'll settle into its shape over time. Now, if we had decided today that we were going to change the pressure relief valve, you can simply just take the ring, push down on it, give it a twist, same direction you would normally unscrew a nut or bolt, and that comes out, and the new one just goes in exactly the same. We can take our lid, put it in our keg, and there we go. Now we just need to test it. Okay, now to test that our keg is all fully sealed properly, we hook it up to our kegerator, to our CO2 supply, and dial the pressure regulator up to a high value. I like to use 40 pounds because that's well in excess of what I'd usually run it at. You can go higher, but you know, if it's going to leak it, it's going to leak at 40 pounds. Now, wait for your keg to charge up. This does use a little bit of gas, but we're not doing this to our kegs every day. We're only doing this after a service. Now, as that pressure comes up, if you use a foaming sanitizer like Star San, we spray around all of the fittings and make sure that they're all thoroughly covered, and if there's any leaks, you would see them starting to bubble. Now, this has come up to about 40 pounds now, and you can see we've got no leaks. Now, if you had a leak, it would do something more like this. You see how the bubbles are forming around it? Okay, so that's how to do a full seal service on a keg. So that's all for today. Go on, service your keg, fill it with beer, and enjoy some good brewing this week.
You got anything to say?